What's going on, everybody? OGR with my man TSR, and we are back with the Big Blue Breakdown. What's going on, Big Blue Elo 80, Philly Notion, Giants Opinion Sports. What's going on, guys? My man, very, very interesting game last night. Now, should I get your initial monologue out of the way before I ask you the question I really want to ask you? Or
I can sum everything up in 3 words for you. The Giants stink.
What's going on, Giants Opinion Sports? So do you want that question now, or do you want to just get anything off your chest first? Jay Berman, what's going on, my man? I just saw your comment.
There's a million Giants content creators, so I have not seen a lot of the videos that I've been putting up, but from what I've heard, a lot of people are trashing the heck out of the team. And I trolled the Giants today with a Daniel Jones video with a new thing that I'm doing with this little short 1-minute videos where I put goofy sound clips. Then, we have to remember the Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the best, if not the best defenses in the NFL. And you got Daniel Jones, again, without all his weapons, with a makeshift offensive line. And I say makeshift because this was not the expected starting line a month ago. This is the first time these guys have played together, and they're going against this defense. It did what we thought it would. It collapsed, and it was horrible with run protection and not very good with pass protection. So if you factor all those things in, yes, you look at the 2 interceptions, you look at the loss, but overall, as time has passed, I'm like, you know what? Let's give DJ some credit. And I think he played better than people are giving him credit for it. For people to make videos calling for him to get rid of him after one game. Really?
Hey, that's where the Giant Davey Estrada was going on. So first, I want to say a couple more people in the chat that's come in here. Clocks, I promise you, save it, Clocks, save it. Let us get through the first half hour of just going over the game, getting through our monologue. The last half hour is all you guys. If you want to vent, you want to get our opinion, just hold on, Clocks. Just hold on for a half hour. If you even want to exit and then come back and let me have it, go right ahead, my friend. MH, what's going on? Patriots fan, what's going on? I already said hi to Damian Estrada, but what's going on? Way to fly, what's going on? Diehard Giants fans, what is going on? Well, diehard Giants fans, sorry. Very good dude, by the way. Actually gave Chris the Entertainer his first Daniel Jones jersey, if you will. Philly Notion, what's going on? Here to troll me is probably usual, my friend, but I love you either way. At one point in this live stream, I got to do my Philly Notion impression because I love the way he starts his live streams.
Philly Notion, I have seen Saquon. He's going backwards.
So I'm going to ask you that question now.
Okay.
All right. So
you got a question. I don't know what this question is.
All right. So if I gave you this stat line of a quarterback, okay, 10 for 23, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a QB rating of 62.2, would you say that team won or lost that game?
That's not Ben Roethlisberger's stats, are they?
No. And then I'll give you another quarterback stats, and you tell me if they won or lost that game.
Those stats. See, I only have the quarterback stats. If their running back had 15 carries for 200 yards, then they probably won the game.
One of the running backs had 12 carries for 39 yards.
Based on that, I would think they lost unless they had an elite defense.
That was the Giants' Game 1 opener, 2005, where they beat the NFC champions that year, the Arizona Cardinals, 42-19. Okay? Now I'm going to give somebody else the stats, and let's see if you have this memorized. 26.
Our defense got some touchdowns.
Yes, and so did we had a punt return for a touchdown. Willie Ponder. Anyways, 26 for 41, 274, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a QB rating of 79.2.
Aren't those Daniel Jones stats?
Yes.
That's a lot.
What I'm trying to say is, guys, this is a team game. And I know everybody wants to kill Daniel Jones because his plays are highlighted the most. And at the end of the day, I'm going to give credit to Bud Dupree. Now, I know Giants fans want him to take a sack there. I know Giants fans want him. He was getting ready to throw the ball out of the end zone. I know they want him, as soon as he's rolling out, throw the ball away. At that point, he felt he needed to make a play, and Bud Dupree came in and made a great play. Because if he's able to get that ball off before Bud Dupree gets there, we're sitting there saying, we live to fight another day. We have chances to put points on the board. And nobody's saying anything. But Bud Dupree batted the ball, went up in the air, and it was intercepted.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, interceptions like that just bother me. It just bothers me. At the end of the day, maybe, okay, you want to say that Daniel Jones should have had better awareness? Okay, I'm not going to sit there and say that Daniel Jones played great last night. But to sit there and act like Daniel Jones went 10 for 23 with 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, and a QB rating of 62.2. Calm down. Like, at the end of the day, he played better than you're willing to realize, and he needs to be more consistent. But are we getting to the point where Daniel Jones has to be perfect for us to win?
I hope not. I was telling OGR this before the stream. For those of you that didn't know, Saquon Barkley had a historically bad night last night as he joined a very small club of NFL running backs who have had at least 15 carries in a game with less than 10 yards. Now, that's obviously not all his fault. If you watched any of that game last night, he would get the ball, 1 stealer, 2 stealers, sometimes 3, sometimes even 4 stealers are right in front of him. He has nowhere to go. So for all those people that are hating on Daniel Jones, when your running game is that ineffective, how are you gonna win? How are you gonna succeed? There was no threat of the run. And yes, they were putting 8 in the box every play, but they're also blitzing. Our offensive line sucks. I just don't want to see the team get torn apart. And I don't mean breaking the team up by trading players, but after one game for Giants fans to just, if people are just absolutely bragged on this team when they had no training camp, they have new coach, new offensive coordinator, da-da-da-da-da. Yes, a lot of other teams didn't have that. Look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On paper, they have a lot of offensive talent. They struggle because they're in the same boat as the Giants. They have a whole bunch of new players working together, and this was their first game experience, no preseason. I think the Giants will be better with time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the offensive line is going to struggle this year, but this is the first time they played together. They're not going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers every week. And the defense showed glimpses of being better than last year, at least. Now that when you let Snell go off for over 100 yards, that's inexcusable. Bobby Snell should not be running for 100 yards. And Juju getting 2 touchdowns, you got to shut him down, keep him to 1. As you would say, at the end of the day, it was a loss, a game that I do think we could have possibly won. But while I'm disappointed, I do think there are positives. I think the positives outweigh the negatives. Sorry, I rambled.
Hey, it's all right. So Jay Berman, I'm checking the feed right now. We are good on YouTube end. So I don't know what's going on there. Depressed Steelers fan, I don't know if it's just something on your end, my man. Hopefully it gets fixed for you. Depressed Steelers fan, what's going on, my man? I see it. Guys, if you have any questions or comments, please save them for the 30-minute mark because there is plenty to get to on this, and I really want to get through this with my man here. So, off of Daniel Jones, so if I told you we ran to the left one time last night, would you believe me?
Well, yeah, you told me before we started the stream.
They weren't supposed to know that. God.
What? It's unscripted.
It's unscripted. I know. I hear it. So
if you had said,
pretend that's the first time you heard it.
If that was the first time I heard it, if you said we only ran to the left once. I'd probably sit here and ponder for a minute and then just think of all the runs that went up the middle and think that might actually be a correct stat. I don't remember him going to the left.
Going to the left would also be left of the left, between the center and left guard. And so that could be still to the left. But yes, we ran to the left one time last night, which was embarrassing. The positive taking away, the actual offensive line in pass protection performed a little bit better than I thought. Now, Cameron Fundling was an abortion. Thomas played well, considering being a rookie. And the left side of the line, I think, performed a little bit better than the left tackle position performed a little bit better than the right tackle position. I will say that. A lot of people want to kill Saquon for not getting any yards, but I mean, when you have a guy in your backfield 3/4 of the plays, I mean, tonight, guys, it's going to sound like I'm making excuses for the Giants, but I understand guys like Bad Dog are tired of losing. But, I mean, can we have realistic expectations? Is that too much to ask for as a Giants fans now to have realistic expectations? I'm not making excuses. I'm just realist on what my team is. Because I went on here and I'm trying to give context. That was the whole point of me asking TSR his opinion. on those numbers because context means everything. Okay? If Daniel Jones went out there and had 3,500 yards, 24 TDs, 17 interceptions, 17 pickles, a handful of fumbles, and I'm trying to think what else Eli did in that season. Would that be a good enough season for you?
It was like 24 and 17, I think. 24 touchdowns, 17 pickles. It was an
17 pickles and 3,500 yards.
Something like that.
He had a better season in his rookie season than that last year.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones, in my opinion. He had 12 pickles to 24. He only played 13 games, and
really
he had 3,500 yards, over 35.
Really 12.
So it's like
the fumbles were the biggest issue. The 18 fumbles were.
And if you're winning, it's not a big deal.
And we were not winning. I want to play devil's advocate with you for a second for your OGR. Nate Solder is not a Giant that is beloved by many Giants fans, but he is a veteran. He is experienced. He knows, he knows the system. If he played last night and played this season, do we think the offensive line holds up a little better?
No.
No.
It's certainly possible, but Cameron Fleming has just as much experience as Nate Solder. Obviously, Nate Solder being better, but you'd be asking Nate Solder to go to the right side. And he's going to still be going against TJ Watt and or Bud Dupree.
Yeah.
I think maybe he holds up slightly better than Cameron Fleming did. I mean, guys are asking for Matt Pert to be put in there.
Wow, I don't.
Cowboy X Factor, to get to you real quick, that is a knife, not a sword, but I appreciate it. Alex Sport Critic, what's going on, guys? Again, guys, if you have any questions, comments, please save them for the 30-minute mark. Do appreciate everybody being here, though.
And shout out to the Sports Critic and Alex Sports. What's up, guys? They joined me and OGR for a four-person Giant stream last night, which we were excited up until about the last couple minutes of the first half, and then it kind of well, I think we were probably excited until the second interception.
I was good even after that 18-minute drive. Probably
18-minute drive.
The 6-minute the 6 minute after the 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter, that's where I kind of dragged down. The defense held up for the most part. What I can say is the Steelers made better adjustments than the Giants did. That's definitely for sure. I mean, that's kind of calling the obvious, but I can definitely say a more experienced unit together.
Mike Tomlin versus a rookie head coach. Come on, that's not fair. Like, I mean, Super Bowl winning coach against the guy's coaching his first game in his life, and Jason Garrett. I don't know whose call it was to make changes offensively, but I didn't see anything really special in the second half, except for that 8.5-minute drive that again ended in a pickle. I would have used Saquon differently. Clearly, run him to the left, maybe. Let's see what Thomas can do blocking from the run on the left. More play.
That's his strength. Not to say he's bad at pass blocking, but that is Andrew Thomas's strength is running behind Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, and
we didn't do it for whatever reason, and we didn't even run at Bud Dupree, which Bud Dupree is not exactly what we call the biggest, strongest guy out there. Bud Dupree is more of a speed rusher. And obviously we saw it last night getting in the backfield.
Did we see any of this?
I didn't pay any attention to any. I did not see clap on, clap off. No, I did not see that.
I didn't think doing it either.
So, there's definitely adjustments to be made. What I want to see, and I've said that in my video earlier this week, is I just want to see improvement every week. I don't want to go back and do the same thing. Even against the Bears, which, Damian Strada's Bears have a very good defense. I'm not going to sit there and play, I'll give him credit where credit's due. I expect Saquon in the last 2 years, he's had better games against the Bears. He's killed the Bears actually the last 2 years. So, 15 for 6 is not obviously going to cut it, but I expect the Giants to come up with a game plan here. And everybody's biggest thing with Pat Shurmur last year was he doesn't make enough halftime adjustments, or he doesn't stick with something, and we don't see anything different from week to week. Well, here's your chance to blow that narrative out of the water. Because if that doesn't happen, we got some really big issues.
That narrative needs to get blown, like I do, because I'm telling you, Saquon has another game where he has 15 carries for 30 yards or less. Giants fans are going to go ape what the next day, because one of the best running backs in the NFL, if he's getting that type of production out of him and he's healthy, something seriously wrong with this Giants offense, and I expect him to go for over 100 next week. I think he's going to have a bounce back game. He's too good of a player to just
100 combined or 100
rushing.
Just 100 rushing. Okay.
I'm going to call 100 rushing right now. I'm going to call 100 rushing. Great players, when they hit a huge wall like this, like Michael Jordan had a 10-point game with the Bulls, you don't think he's going to go out and try to put 50 on his next opponent? Those type of players, Kobe, an NFL player, when they have a bad game, they should have that drive to just exceed and just outperform. And, I think he'll do anything he can to have a huge game next week. Now, again, it's going to depend on the offensive line. If there's 4 Bears in the backfield when he gets the ball, he can only do so much. And if that happens again next week, it's going to be a long season.
I don't know if it's going to be a long season, but you need market improvement every year. And don't forget, this is the first. I mean, again, it sounds like a bunch of excuses because Giants fans are so tired of losing. They don't know where to put their emotions. A lot of Giants fans are New York, in the New York area, and you guys have just been depressed. I mean, if you live in the New York area, I mean, if you are a Mets fan, if you're a Yankees fan, if you are a Knicks fan, God feel bad for that. Even if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan or a Giants or Jets fan, what did you have to root for if you're a fan of any of those teams? Nothing. They've done nothing for you. So I get the overall frustration. And the Giants being the beacon of hope out of everybody, they're probably the most popular team behind the Yankees, or probably more popular than the Yankees, I would argue, to some extent. It's close.
Yeah, the Giants were the last team to bring a championship to New York, which I just so
exactly.
happened.
And I think that has a lot to do with why you see this overall frustration with the Giants and why people are just so quick to react and ask for everybody to be fired and gone. Because I keep telling people this, if we don't perform well this year, and respectably, don't perform respectably this year, the Giants will end up firing Dave Gettleman. And where do you go from there?
Obviously, it'd be a new GM. I mean, you don't.
And what GM you're going to get? Because, Kevin Abrams is the only logical guy at that point. And that's your current assistant GM. Like, who's walking through that door and be like, I'll take that Giants job?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, you just look at the last decade. I mean, the best years of Eli Manning's career were wasted. I mean, after the Super Bowl, the team made a lot of bad draft picks. I don't know. You need stability in your franchise to build on, and if you're changing coaches every 2 years, you're switching your GM every 3 to 4 years, that's a lot of instability. That is the Washington Redskins. I lived in Virginia for 10 years and saw a lot of that. They're constantly changing players, changing coaches. Poor Jason Campbell never really had a fair shake in the NFL because he had a new head coach every 2 years. I'm not a Redskins fan or fan of him, but he had a new OC, a new coach every year when he was in Washington. You cannot succeed that way, so we need stability. If ownership truly thinks Gettleman's not the guy after this year, I mean, if we have another losing season and like a bad losing season, like I'm talking 3-13,
Hey, if we have another bad losing season, Clocks is going to be right, and I can't stand when that guy's right.
Gettleman's gone after the sheriff.
Oh no, he'd definitely be gone. But it'd be a mistake. It'd be an absolute mistake to do that. You cannot just sit there and hire and fire, and then you're off. What's going on? Stand up, my man. Entertainer in the house. What's going on, my man?
But what would be the excuse to keep him if the Giants suck again this year and go 3-13 or 4-12? Yes, I know we've been rebuilding, but that's a bad losing season under every year of Dave Gettleman. What argument to have to say, let's keep him here for another year? He'll turn things around.
Because my argument is who you're going to go out and get that's going to do. It's going to, because every GM wants to come in and put their stamp on the team. Well, he doesn't get to put a stamp on quarterback. He doesn't get to put a stamp on head coach. He gets really nothing. He has to work with what he has. What if he says, you know what? I want to put the stamp on the team and just start selling off pieces. Saquon, bye. Hernandez, gone. And wants to start from scratch. What can you do as Giants fans? Complain? Or what if he says, I want to put my stamp on the team. I want to turn this team around and says, you know what? I'm going to go out there and sign every free agent and pulls a Jerry Reese. It might be good for a year or two, but then the salary, all those backloaded contracts are going to come in, and then boom, you're going to be like the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to be in cap hell, and now you're going to have to re-sign Daniel Jones. You have to re-sign Saquon Barkley. You're not going to have the room to do it. So it's like I understand Giants fans want the turnaround, but I don't think Giants fans fully understood how bad we are. I still don't think
I fully understand how bad we are.
Well, no, because you know what? But here's the thing between me and you. We are in the minority. We are in the minority of Giants fans. Even Entertainer is in the minority of Giants fans that sit there and can be level-headed and have a vision for this team and let things pan out and be a little bit calm. More guys are like Bad Dog, where they want instant success. Let's go. 3 years has been long enough, which shocks me because he's been following the team for well over 2 decades, and he's seen the worst of the worst.
Well, in his defense, the Lakers sucked last year, and being the huge Lakers fan he is, they're good this year. So he's used to the one-year turnaround. You're just not going to get that with the Giants. I see what you're saying. I mean, if you look at what Gedwin's done, we brought in Saquon Barkley, drafted Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Thomas. We're putting pieces in place for the future, but the pieces aren't all set to win right now. Darius Slayton, you're a big fan. I've been saying it all year. You're wearing the jersey. I know I was wearing a jersey. I've been saying it all year before the season started. I said I think he can be an 80, 1,000, 10 guy this year. He might exceed that. Now, he's on pace to exceed it right now. Whether he keeps that pace, I don't know. But he's made some good moves. He's made some bad moves. Every GM's going to have the move. You go, really? He hasn't had an Eli Apple, Eric Flowers type move. Thank goodness. But yes, we really sucked. And I think the big issue with the Giants for a while there was with Eli, we kept trying to win when we really probably, not last year or two, maybe needed to tear it down. And I hate to say that. You guys in the chat know I love Eli Manning. But
dude, I watch you cry live on camera because of you.
Eyes watered up.
Yeah. Damien, trying to get to your question, but guys, again, just save your questions for 9 more minutes, please. Question, he says, with these rumors about Odell, Allen Robinson possibly getting traded, do you all think the Giants should do a trade for either one of them? And what would you all trade for him? I would not trade Odell for a Mexican pizza from Taco Bell. Okay. And
I would trade Odell for a Mexican pizza from Taco Bell.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fire. But I if I'm giving up my Mexican pizza for Odell, no, it's not happening. And, by the way, the Mexican pizza is discontinued. So if that's your favorite, yeah. And Allen Robinson, no, I don't want. I love Allen Robinson. I loved him at Penn State. I think he's an excellent guy, but that's not what the Giants need right now.
Injury.
And if the Bears are willing to trade Allen Robinson, the question is why? Do you guys feel that you guys are going to be resetting and that Matt Nagy's not the guy, Mitch Trubisky's not the guy, and you guys are going to start selling off pieces and you guys have already given up on the season? I don't think that's the case. I've heard the rumors of Allen Robinson to the Jets, and maybe that makes a little bit more sense because the Jets have wide receiver issues, but at the end of the day, nah.
Who was the other person that they were talking about us going for? Allen Robinson, who? Oh, OBJ? No. Look, I said this last year. I think Eli Manning made Odell Beckham Jr. better because Eli was the type of guy that was going to keep feeding him and throwing to him when he probably shouldn't be. And Odell had the talent and the ability to get those crazy passes. And you know what? I don't think he's quite the same player since blowing out his ankle a few years ago. People might not want to hear that, but the statistical production has dropped significantly since that, was it 2016 or 17 when he played 4 games? Fractured his ankle. He has not been.
Oh, yes, that was 2017. That was 17.
He has not been the same player. Before that,
been the same player.
Amazing.
And also, I saw this stat today that he is the 67th best graded wide receiver in all the NFL since he's been with the Cleveland Browns. Enough said. Like,
me on for Odell. He's not.
Dude, I hate to say it. Dude's not a number one. He's washed. He's washed. I mean, let's face it. What other? I mean, a lot of people say Eli Manning. I'm not saying made Odell what he was because Odell has the talent, but no. Odell's head is not in the game. Odell's head is in Gucci bags and making that dough off the field. Odell doesn't want football anymore. He wants the celebrity status and keep that money running in. That's what he wants. To me, he doesn't want to play football anymore. It doesn't seem. I could be wrong. But he's advertising to try and play with the Patriots. Why would the Patriots trade for you, Odell?
Really? Is he doing that?
He worked out with Cam Newton all offseason. That's why.
Here's what the worst thing And I think Entertainer did a video on Odell Beckham Jr. last year, and he may have touched on it. I honestly don't remember because it was a long video. And I'm not again. I don't remember everything he said in it. But some people have pointed this out, and I think it may be true too. We're on OBJ now for whatever reason, but the night he had that catch against the Cowboys, the 3-finger touchdown catch where he was pass interfered with, I think his head started getting big then, and he thought he was bigger than the game, bigger than the team, and I think that's when he started losing it here, and then he lost it physically with the fractured ankle. And when you lose it physically and mentally, you're not going to succeed on the field. And he hasn't. He hasn't the last few years. He's a wide receiver. In fantasy purposes, he's a wide receiver 3 at best right now.
All right, so guys, I'm going to open it up for your questions now, but I always appreciate my man TSR's opinion. He always has solid opinions, and I actually like talking to you more during the day after the game, after allowing your head to cool down a little bit, because I think you do have very solid opinions.
And after I troll my quarterback in a short video in the morning too.
Yeah, let you get the troll out of yourself, and then you go.
That was fun.
So Philly Notion says Odell's QBs have been garbage. Send him to Philly, and he would shine. But we will pass on him too. Don't need a locker room headache.
Well, Philly Nation, let's just say this with the Philly Notion, with the history of injuries your team has had, I'm pretty sure OBJ would get there and miss about 13 games.
Oh yeah, and not to mention it. Actually, there's nothing else to mention. He's not on the field, so what can he do? All right, so you guys wanted Saquon 25 rushes a game. If that was the game plan, we get a fumble on the first possession on the 3-yard line, and we don't go smash mouth. 4 rushes for Saquon. It's going so fast. 4 rushes for Saquon Barkley. Can you explain? My plan wasn't necessarily 25 touches. There's no way you're going to go 25 touches when you're not even gaining a yard per. You have to go by it. 25 touches between run and pass, I can see. That would be fine. You're right, Klotz. If you want to make the argument that Saquon is not going to be a 25 rush guy, will he see a couple games this year with possibly 25 rushes? Okay, maybe.
I think he's going to be more of the guy that gets moving forward, should be in that 16 to 20 carry and then right around 5 receptions, which would be right around 20 to 25 touches. But he's not going to rush it 25 times and catch 5 balls. I don't see him getting 30 touches. And quite frankly, I don't want a running back getting that many touches. We've seen, for those of you that may have never heard of this, Ojo, you probably have, the rule of 370. There's an NFL running back rule of 370 where a ton of NFL running backs, when they've had 370 attempts in a year, huge decline after that, or injury, just whatever. There's been a few running backs that have not been destroyed by the rule of 370, but there's a hell of a lot more that have been. It's just a weird number. When a running back runs for 370 carries, there's usually been a huge drop off the next year or the rest of their career.
All right, so I'm gonna do a twofer here. I'm gonna answer Big Blue Elo's thing right here, and then I'm gonna answer the rest of Clock's question. As far as Joe Judge wanting to be smash mouth and establishing what he was, let's see the totality of the season before we sit there and say, oh, he hasn't done this, he hasn't done this. Because don't forget, he is a first-year head coach. He is going to need to make adjustments, okay? And he's going to have to learn how to adjust. This is not something that's just given to you and let's go. Where were the adjustments? Were there any adjustments last night? I don't know. I can tell you we did not do much play action in the first half, and it seemed like we tried to do more in the second. So there's an adjustment there. But in the second half, Pittsburgh Steelers were ready for it, and they didn't really bite on it.
No.
So that's one adjustment I saw. But no, there wasn't many, to be totally honest with you. But no. I expect more adjustments this week. I expect to come out and see a different wrinkle that I didn't see in the first game. Because don't forget, this offense is not fully installed. And Joe Judge has said that in the interviews. This is not a fully installed offense right now.
We're not Golden Tate, and people can knock Golden Tate all they want. He's a solid second receiver. Darius Slayton's our number 1 now. I'm not going to back off on that until he proves me wrong, but he's a solid second guy, and he's a hell of a lot better than Board and Ratlin or whatever the hell those bums were. By the way, Evan Ingram had 2 catches for 9 yards last night. Can I just who was half asleep the whole game?
Yeah, well, I mean, that guy, to me, he was the worst out of the bunch last night. There's no excuse for that. For being, a lot of people have said it, and Bad Dog said it in his bit. I'm done with Evan Ingram. I've been done with Evan Ingram the entire offseason. What's going on, Lestat Walton and Nick DeWick? Okay, so here's a question for you. What is your opinion on Joe Judge's coaching style?
It's one game.
No, I'm just saying he probably needs the totality between what you saw in the offseason, the interviews, the totality.
I will say he's kind of boring as an interview subject because I was going to try to troll him this morning in his interview. I just couldn't pull anything good out of it, so I trolled DJ instead. He said the right things. He seemed calm. He's coming from, as much as I don't like them, he's coming from a stable franchise and probably learned a lot of good things in his time in New England, being under one of the greatest head coaches of all time, even I don't like the guy, Bill Belichick. So from what I've seen right now, I can't see anything bad, but I've got one game. And just, what a person says in interviews doesn't really matter. It's what you do on the field. And because I was calling the game with three people, I honestly didn't really see Judge's reactions too much, how he was responding on the sideline. Was he yelling at guys? I didn't see that. Next time we stream a game, I'll try to watch for and see how he's interacting with players. So that's important too. How is Joe Judge interacting with Daniel Jones after Jones throws an interception? Is Jones over sitting on the, bench by himself, or is Judge out there coaching and talking to him, being a leader? I just wasn't focusing on that part of the game because I was streaming last night and had a lot of people in the stream with me. And I will look at that next game though, and I probably be able to answer that question more efficiently.
Clocks, to answer this one real quick for you, and I don't even need TSR to answer this one. Down and distance decides if you are going to run the football 4 times there. I know maybe you do, and I get it. We're in the inside of the 3, run Saquon 4 times. I get it. But at the end of the day, I'm not the offensive coordinator. Maybe you have a problem with Garrett. I don't know. But at the end of the day, Saquon was not producing anything in the run game. No. And it was because of your block. It was largely because of the blocking scheme. Let's face it.
Or lack thereof.
And this is the first time all these guys have had a chance to play together. I'm sorry. It sounds like I'm giving just a bunch of excuses, but I just have realistic expectations. And Cox, you look at this team far worse than I do. You've said 2-14 at best at some points. So, you know what? You're more down on this team than I am, and you look at this team even worse than I do. And me, I thought, 7-9 is realistic. I still think 7-9 is realistic.
8-8, baby. I said at the start of the season, I'm sticking with it. 8-8. I'm in the minority.
What grade do you fellas give Joe Judge in that game 1? I'll give him a solid C+.
C.
C or C+. I mean, it wasn't anything great. It wasn't bad. We left 28 plays, 28 points on the field to me. I said it in my thing. Between 28 and 24 points on the field today. Period.
Kyle Cruz wants me to answer. TSR, would you trade Daniel Jones for Mitchell Trubisky or Deshaun Watson? I would never trade Daniel Jones for Mitch Trubisky. And if for whatever ungodly reason the Houston Texans want to make another abysmal trade to wreck their franchise and said Deshaun Watson for Daniel Jones, I guess I probably have to pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We have an established quarterback against a guy we're not sure of yet. I mean, I like DJ, and I've seen promising things, but he's played in less than a year of games where you have a guy that is established.
Hey, depressed Steelers fan, if it's 6-10 or 7-9, I'll take it. 6-10 is a marked improvement from where we were a year ago. And it's only 2 games. Here's a question. What do you guys think of influence that Jones had on the special teams? Punt returning, punt coverage seems to be top notch as well as being disciplined. Only 4 penalties and 25 yards.
I was doing the guy from Home Improvement.
I mean, to me, Jones put it, drove the ball and put us in good field position. I mean, most of the night. Now, did we finish with points? No. But for the first half, I would have to go back and look, but I know for at least the first half, we controlled field position for a large portion of that game. Judge, not Jones, sorry. Either way, regardless, it still makes sense. So
yeah, I was very confused too on his question there. Okay, Judge. In that respect, yes, I think we're punting. I mean, field position, I think we were doing very well in the first half until the end of the half. And I hate it and it happened last night when you see your defense playing well, and they were playing well. They'd given up 9 points in the first half. And then there's a minute and a half left, and for whatever reason, now the defense can't stop the offense whatsoever, and Pittsburgh just marched down the field and scored a touchdown. I don't know if we were in a prevent, or I don't know what kind of defense you're running. I was not looking at it that closely. I was just watching Pittsburgh march up the field, but I can't stand it that we played that well, thought we turned a corner, and then Pittsburgh needed a score and got it like that. And that was it. Pittsburgh never looked back. They took the lead and kept it.
All right, so I already know what he's going to say, but I'll answer it after he says it.
Was Valentine covering Juju?
He was not. He was covering Juju, not for his first touchdown.
Second one.
I don't even know.
Anything massively egregious. I don't remember Valentine giving up a huge, wide open play. I mean, Juju.
I mean, he was there when guys caught it in front of him, but was Valentine okay? To be totally honest, Valentine wasn't great last night, but he wasn't the worst.
Exactly.
The dude that we got from the Broncos actually gave up Juju's first touchdown. The Phillies ace, what's going on, my man?
There's nothing that made me think like Janoris Jenkins against the Rams a few years ago. I was like, he's not even trying. He's just letting people take it to the house. And you know what I'm talking about.
I know Big Ben had 113.2 QB rating against us, and Big Ben woke up in the second half after being rusty through the first half, and a lot of it was rust. I'm not going to say it's not.
Rust. Yep.
But honestly, I feel better about the Giants' defense going forward than I did to start the season.
Do you feel better about the offense?
The offense, I know it's a work in progress. So is the defense. But you know what? That was a legit team. What we played last night is a 10-6 squad.
If they all stay healthy.
If they stay healthy, 10-6 squad. That's going to get a wild card. That team's going to get a wild card in the AFC, which I think is actually I shouldn't say it's very. I think the AFC is better than the NFC. Yeah, totally honest with you.
I mean, if we're talking about
the Ravens are markedly. Ravens can probably beat anybody in the NFC, and we know the Kansas City Chiefs can beat anybody in the NFC. So, I mean, that's the two top teams. If you want to say 1 and 2 are in the AFC, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe. Even then, it's tough.
It's a big drop after those first two in the AFC. But those are too big, too. I was going to ask you, just a real quick side note, James Conner, should Steelers fans be worried about him? He seems like he's dinged up all the time now.
Oh, and Tanner agrees, by the way.
12-4? I don't know. I'd say 10-6.
We got to see him against the Ravens, Tanner, but I have a tendency to agree with you there. Martinez was so much better than Ogletree. I agree with that comment 100%. Martinez was the most marketed bright spot on the defense. The defense as a whole was a bright spot, I would say. 2 sacks. So, but yeah, Martinez was way better and as good as advertised.
Oh, are you going to answer my question?
What was your question? Sorry.
Should Steelers fans be concerned about James Conner moving forward? It seems like he's dinged up all the time.
Hey, if Benny Snell's doing 112 and every week, then I don't think you have to worry. Or as I would say last night, Blake Snell.
Blake Snell.
Also, guys, just to remind you guys, I'll announce it now. So live on Sunday, it will be me and my man, The Sports Reaction, live on my channel. And our special guest will be none other than PTA Sports for the Chicago Bears at 1:00. So I'm looking forward to having everybody there. Obviously, we're not ending yet. We have more of your questions and comments to get to. The Phillies ace, Fly Eagles Fly, OGR TSR. Our teams need to be better and let Dallas be the bottom of the barrel. Honestly, I'll take it. I'll take it. As long as we finish ahead of you, the Philly ace, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Imagine Dallas finishing in last place after cutting ties with Jason Garrett. How stupid would Cowboys fans feel? By the way, if anybody wants, I trolled the Cowboys a little bit in a video yesterday. I did an exclusive Mike McCarthy interview, and I'll leave it at that. Plug my own channel.
And by the way, guys, I usually have the scroll going, but if you guys are new to the channel, which I see a lot of familiar faces, but if you are, in the background watching, the link to TSR's channel is in the description box below.
Thank you. And my channel, let's just say, obviously I'm a Giants fan, but it's out of the sports channels, you might find the most diverse content. I don't know if that's good or bad, as in it's all over the place.
if Gettleman gets fired, would you guys be okay with Joe Judge taking over like Bill O'Brien? Honestly, either Joe Judge, I wouldn't be comfortable with it, but Joe Judge and Kevin Abrams are the only logical choices for me at that point. I don't see where you're going to go out and get this crazy talented GM. You're going to be taking a young GM or a guy that's, has been under somebody like a Joe Douglas over in Philly, and you're going to say, okay, we're going to take a chance at somebody like that. Do you really want to take a chance at somebody like that? To me, I want continuity on this team.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens if the Giants do have another bad season. And bad season, I'm saying double-digit losses, 6-10 or worse. Does Gettleman get fired? I wouldn't be calling for his job. I don't really like making videos saying somebody should get fired because I certainly wouldn't want somebody making that video about me and my job. I would voice an opinion on it, but in the end, it's going to be up to the Giants management. But I think if he has another losing season, they're going to cut ties with him. Bad losing season. If they go 7-9, yeah, he's got a chance. But anything worse than that, I don't know. And if it's really bad, 4-12 or worse, he's gone.
Okay, so I just want to. He says, run the ball 4 times. Clocks, down and distance determines that. At the end of the day, down and distance determines that. If he gets stuck in the backfield on first down for 2-yard loss, okay, you can run a draw play on second down, but you're not going to run it again and again. Like, I feel you. I feel you there, though.
But for Big Blue, by the way, and I was just looking at that one. Wow, that's a tough one.
Yeah, OGR, TSR, do the Giants have an advantage over the NFC East? If so, what is it? Honestly, Philly Ace, I don't think really anybody has an advantage over anybody right now in the NFC East after the first week of the season. Now, we can argue talent all we want, but until we face and play a good portion of each other, who's going to say what? Because I could sit there and say, I think the Giants have one of the top interior defensive fronts in the NFC East. And then you're going to argue, well, no, my Philadelphia Eagles do. And then the Redskins are going to come in, hey, we sacked Carson Wentz 8 times. So until we find out what's what, I'm not going to sit there and say we have advantage over anybody in any single area because right now we all look like shit, including
Hidalgo makes a good point because I was looking at the stats. Slayton had 6 for 102 and 2 touchdowns. He was phenomenal. But after that, Shep, 6 for 47.
Actually, you know what? The advantage would be special teams. I think we do have the best special teams. Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. After Darius Slayton, the offense was very anemic. We really need Golden Tate, and I feel weird saying that, but again, he's a guy he's a possession guy, but he's one of those weird guys that can catch 8 balls for, a palsy 50 yards. Like, man, he's having a sucky game. Then he takes one 60 yards. He has that ability to take one to the house. He's got some speed, even in his early 30s. But the receivers were just bad last night, and Evan Engram looked terrible. Just absolutely terrible. 2 for 9 yards is not going to cut it as our starting tight end. This guy has all the potential in the world, but he has failed miserably. And if he continues to play like this, I think we should start Caden Smith. Give Evan Engram 2 or 3 more games, tops. But he's going to produce like this, fall asleep on his routes, and look half asleep the whole game. We can't keep putting him out there because then he's hurting the team.
Canadian Kingpin, what's going on? And again, guys, if you are new, because I'm seeing some new faces here, my man, the Sports Reactions link is in the description box below. And if you enjoy what you're watching, it'd be an absolute pleasure to have you as a regular part of the channel. So please feel free to throw a sub my way. I can't even get the words out.
We may torture ourselves and call a Yankees-Red Sox game this weekend, because I do miss calling the Yankees, even though they're kind of stinky, and then the Red Sox just stink altogether.
Dude, at this point, nobody can brag. It's like, who wants the basement more? Actually, no, that's not the other one.
What's the basement more?
All right, here we go. No, sorry, it jumped on me. Okay, Cowboys or Eagles for the division? Do you think, or do you possibly think somebody else?
I mean, my preseason thought was the Cowboys. I'm not going to step off of that just because of one game. But they had some injuries though that might hurt them long run. I don't. Is Blake Jarwin out for the year?
Is Blake Jarwin out for the year? Yes, he is. Torn ACL, gone.
Oh, I don't know if it's torn ACL. They lost another player, didn't they?
Leighton Vander Esch. He has a fractured collarbone, so he's out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Probably 8 weeks. I don't trust the Eagles. I mean, I know they won the division last year, but they have just been so injury prone, and that next man up thing is only going to work for so long. You know, if the Washington football team, if it's stupid saying their name, but their defense plays consistently every week like it did yesterday, and Dwayne Haskins just needs to be a game manager, they could surprise people. And it makes me sick to my stomach saying that, but they have sucked for a long time too. And it's what Giants fans got to remember. You're going to suck for a few years. It's going to be terrible. You're going to be tired of losing, but you're going to compile draft picks and get some young talent here. And eventually, that young talent's going to start to pay off, and you're going to have a winning team. Look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When I was a kid, the Buccaneers lost 10 games or more like a decade in a row, and then finally, poof, turned around a Super Bowl team. The 49ers last year had sucked for quite a few years. And then that young talent came together. Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, a good okay free agent signing. I'm not big on him, but they got the pieces together, and we're a Super Bowl team. You know, that's how you build a team. That's not going to happen overnight. You bring these people together, you build up young players, maybe some veterans over a couple years, and then poof, you have a playoff team. We're not there. And clearly, from what we saw, and I hate to say this, a thorn in our side, it has been for almost a decade, the offensive line still stinks. You need falling out.
Do me a favor, answer that one for me, and then I got to get to my man clocks in a second.
Well, I didn't see it. Sorry. Did you start using him like a Brian Westbrook? I mean, I don't know how much Joe Judge trusts or Jason Garrett trusts in Daniel Jones' ability to audible out of plays. We actually saw him audible into a run that lost yardage, which was a bad move. I don't know if that was him or Garrett calling
that. Was 9 men, and that was 9 men. I counted 9 men in the box on that play.
Yeah, I don't know why they ran that one, but I think if teams are gonna look what the Steelers did and put 8 or 9 men in the box and say, "Hey, Daniel Jones, you got to beat us," maybe we go empty backfield, split Barkley out to the right or left. He's got breakaway speed. Make a linebacker try to chase him around. I don't know. Whatever we did last night.
By the way, clocks, to go by to address your comment. Yeah, I want to be right over you. Of course I do. I don't want to have to admit I'm wrong. Who wants to admit they're wrong?
I do.
Hey, I'm not happy that anybody gets hurt, but Matt got hurt for the Colts, and I have Jonathan Taylor in my other league, so that's positive for me. I see that being talked about in the comments. Also, I got to get to Christopher Hidalgo's question in a second. Actually, I'll just get to it now. Forget it. Washington has drafted like the San Francisco the past few years. So maybe he's just responding to what you were saying.
I mean, they've quietly built up a defense, and then you add Chase Young, who had, I think, 1.5 sacks yesterday. That defense was pretty good last year. Their offense was just pretty bad with multiple quarterback changes. Dwayne Haskins as a rookie was absolutely abysmal. I think people have slept on that defense, and that's one of those teams where you're just like, yeah, they're not that good, and then they're better than you realize. Offensively, they don't scare you, but defensively, that front seven, I think it's better than people think it is. And to do what they did against Philly, does Philly have the best offensive line in football? No, but neither do we. And I can't look at the schedule now and say, like I have for many years, Washington football team, 2 wins. Because I did that this year. And going into these 2 games now, I don't know.
I feel you. Oh, Argo is here, so happy. He's going to support his Chiefs as I expect him to.
Well, yeah.
Guys, who has a better career, Cam in New England or TB12 in Tampa? I'll let you answer that one.
Look, Tom Brady did not look good Sunday. He's 43. Father Time is going to catch up eventually. This is his first time with, he's playing in a new offensive scheme with new players, so not having a preseason, not having a full training camp, that's going to affect him. Cam Newton, when healthy, showed us he can still ball. He ran for, I believe, 2 touchdowns on Sunday. He's got a winning coach. I say Cam Newton he's going to have. And if Cam Newton stays healthy all year, the Patriots probably re-sign him. And why would he leave New England if he's winning there? He could end up playing for the Pats for another, who knows, 5, 6, 7 years. Brady's probably 2 years tops. Also, Cam Newton.
Right now, things would say Cam, but who knows? Brady can turn it around. He's a veteran.
Gronk looked bad, by the way.
That is a tough thing to answer. But
Gronk looked bad, OGR. He looked like he was running.
Report says, I'm surprised I'm not watching the Celtics. Well, because the Giants, I'm a bigger Giants fan than I am a Celtics fan. So, of course, I have to go over the game last night. If I didn't do the video, I will be.
On top of that, the NBA.
Yes. Yes.
Let's leave it at that. Well, I'll keep covering my Spurs.
All right. So OGR, bro, you saw the offensive line. Do we go Saquon Ushes against the Bears?
What?
What?
Do we go?
Okay. Well, I'm assuming what you meant to say. Do we go 25 rushes against the Bears? No. But I would like to see Saquon touch a ball at least 20 times in that game. 15 rushing, 5 receiving, whatever it may be. I'd like to see a similar workload to what he had against the Steelers, but hopefully he's getting more production.
You know what? You know what I see with Carolina that I think we should be doing? I've looked at stat lines where Christian McCaffrey was getting stopped in the run, and he had 10 carries for 20 yards. But looking over to the right of that stat line, what did I see? 10 receptions for 120 yards. Saquon Barkley has the same talent as Christian McCaffrey. So if the run's not working, why are we not using him more as a receiver, getting him out more, putting him against linebackers, utilizing him to doing something with him? Why is that not happening in New York? I'm throwing that out there. Anybody, if anybody can answer that, why is somebody like Christian McCaffrey racking all these receptions when he can't get it going on the run? And Barkley, it's like run's not working. They were throwing these little dink and dunks about 3 yards to him.
So
in the field.
So Tana, to basically go over that, am I going to make one? You'd be looking forward to it? Well, I'm glad you would be looking forward to it, but this is my Giants post-game overview. That's why me and TSR decided to do the show, to really cover the Giants, instead of trying to compete with each other, bring both of us, combine both of us, talk about the Giants for the hour, and just get into whatever topic after the first half hour of discussing what the Giants did and, our thoughts about it, and then move on to other subjects, hey, my friend, I love you, but at the end of the day, it's tough to compete out there, my friend. It's tough to compete.
There are so many. There's 8 million Giants content creators now, it's great that we have such a huge community, but I'm in the same boat as OGR, doing a recap and then going, because we want to do the Big Blue Breakdown as a recap of every game the next night. I don't want to be redundant and talk about a subject in my video for 10 minutes. Then I'm talking about the same thing with you live. And if you watch my video or watch your video, which we probably would because we support each other, it's like, well, I already know what you're going to talk about. I'd rather be surprised. You threw something at me tonight that you threw me a curveball. I threw you a curveball, and I'd rather have, be spontaneous than I already know what you're going to say, everything about the Giants. You already know everything I'm going to say because we watch each other's videos. Now let's talk about it live.
Yeah, and then OGR Sports will agree, as TSR said, Saquon 20 total touches like Tony Dorsett's career. Hey, that's fine then. If Saquon is as productive as Tony Dorsett in his prime, I'm happy.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Do I think Saquon in the right system could be a grinded out 20 to 25 rushes per game like a Zeke? Yes, I think he has the physical specimen to do it. If you can power clean 450 pounds, you can rush between the tackles.
You followed him at college, right?
Yes.
I may have heard this somewhere and it might be incorrect, but did he have issue with ankle sprains in college?
Yes, he had an issue with one ankle sprain in college, I believe his sophomore year.
One ankle sprain in the NFL. I'm not saying it's an issue yet, but because he's such a good receiver, though, he's not going to get 25 runs. He's not going to rush the ball 350 times a year and then catch 100 balls. I just don't want to see him with that type of workload. In today's NFL, there's very few running backs that are getting a full workload like that. I'm content with fringe 300 carries, which would be under 20 a game. That would be like around 18-ish. And then catching 80 balls for the year. So if we're getting him close to 350 to 400 touches, that's probably – that's a big workload too, but I just don't see the majority of it being running. I see it being a mix of receiving and rushing.
The Phillies A says, during the long drive for the Giants last night, if you all score, do the Giants perhaps win that game? That certainly changes momentum. I'm not going to sit there and say it doesn't. That is a really interesting question. It's actually tough to answer. The Giants get that. It'd be, 17-16 at that point?
Yes, we were down 16-10.
So assuming we make the extra point, it'd be 17-16. We kick off to the Steelers. It depends what the Giants do in the next drive. If they're able to stop the Steelers and the Giants are able to go down and score again, then I say yes. But if those exact things did not happen, then I say no.
I think we mentioned this in the live stream too last night. After that interception, it felt like the wind went out of the Giants' sails. It just felt like the team Like, just
it actually happened after the TJ Watt interception. To be totally honest with you, I think a lot of the win came out because we had the lead going in. We were going to have the lead going into the half.
Yeah.
Had we gone into the half with the lead, that might have been a slightly different game. I will say that.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. But the Giants lost. It is what it is. Learn from your mistakes. Play better next week and beat the stupid Bears.
Yes. Tell Damian Estrada that. Not sure if you've answered this, but what are your thoughts on Jason Garrett's play calling? Not good. After looking at it, not good. If you're running the ball to the right side in the middle and only have one rush to the left, you're not showing me any variety. As far as where we were putting Saquon on the field and what we were doing, we had some exotic packages where we would go, line up 5 wide and then maybe they'd come back into, an I formation or something. But I don't know. I am glad you appreciate that, Dolly Bear. But
I'm going to give him a soft pass right now because my only defense for Jason Garrett right now is he's come from an organization that has had an absolutely phenomenal offensive line for how many years? And now he's in a different environment where he's got an offensive line that doesn't have Pro Bowl talent on it. So he's going to have to adjust. And that's going to be on him. He's going to have to adjust and be like, all right, I don't have this offensive line like I had in Dallas. I don't have these beasts. I have this line that is a bunch of guys working together for the first time. He's going to have to make adjustments. It's on him. It's on him and Judge to make adjustments, say, okay, this is what we have. We have to work with what we have and make it work. You still have one of the best running backs in the NFL, and you've got a guy that's turning into a bona fide number 1 wide receiver in Darius Slayton. So there's talent out there, and Evan Engram should be a top tight end, but he stinks. So find a way to utilize him better and talk to him and say, hey, you play like that again, you're benched. Maybe we don't give him 2 or more games. Maybe if he plays like that against the Bears, you're benched. Caden Smith is starting. Because Caden Smith had decent rapport with Daniel Jones last year at times. I mean, for 2 rookies, they look good at times. I don't know.
Maybe. Clock says OGR, hypothetical. Regardless of what Saquon does, let's say we win 4 games this year. Do we take a 1 and a 2 for Saquon?
He's saying trade him.
He's saying trade him because Clocks is a big believer in building through the draft and having a very strong offensive line. And he always likes to use the example of if we would have taken Quentin Nelson, we would have been a different team.
That's right.
So I can see where this is going. Be done in 3 minutes. So, yeah, the wife had to show me the watch there. So
1 hour.
So yeah. So me, no, because I got to give the guy he's part of this nucleus right now. So no, I'm not going to take a part out of this nucleus. But I know you would.
I think we've got our 3 moving forward. Our big 3, you want to have a quarterback. We've got a quarterback in Daniel Jones. We've got the running back in Saquon Barkley, and Darius Slayton. He showed us last night. People seem to be sleeping on Darius Slayton. He led the Giants in receiving yards and touchdowns last year, and I believe he tied for the NFL lead for touchdowns among rookie wide receivers. Does he have this? Is he the fastest wide receiver in the NFL? No. Does he have the best hands? No. But he got open. He gets open and he caught the damn ball. That's what you want your receiver to do. You don't need to have the best, analytical combine stats to be a top receiver. And he's playing extremely well. Has a good report, Daniel Jones. We've got our top 3 tight end. I thought we had the guy. I don't think we do based on what I'm seeing the last couple years and last night, but maybe he can turn it around. I hope he does because it's good for the Giants if Evan Engram gets his head out of his ASS and produces.
All right. So Kyle Cruz really wants me to answer this question. He says, do you guys think down the road we regret drafting Isaiah Simmons instead of drafting Adam Thomas? I will say no, and here's why. The Giants have so many holes. So if we get Isaiah Thomas, or not Isaiah Thomas, but you know what I mean. Isaiah Simmons. If we get Isaiah Simmons, okay, so what are you doing at left tackle now? Because who do you have out there right now? Because don't forget, it is what it is. And then I'm going to take
worse.
I've got time for like 2 more questions, and that's it.
Billy
Notion asked about Jamon Brown. Dude, like what you said, man. If you're signing Jamon Brown, man, you're garbage. Your offensive line is just straight garbage right now.
Freaking bad guy.
I agree there. Hey guys, what's Breaking Bad guy doing?
Giants, Breaking Bad guy.
Oh, good. That was good, Stephen Lilly. You know what? And that is the perfect way to end the night.
That's a great way to end it.
That is a great way to end it. Anyways, I'm gonna let TSR have his little say here, and then I'll close it out.
I'm gonna close the show the way I opened it. Giants stink,
guys. And what I'm gonna say is, if you are a Giants fan, take it one game at a time. After the first 4 weeks of the season, if you want to start getting on Joe Judge, okay, and we're 0-4, okay, I could see somebody getting mad at that. But take it one game at a time. Have reasonable expectations for this team. And if we go 6-10 or 7-9, that's good enough for me. Really is. So either way, guys, it's been OGR Sports, and I will catch you on the next vid.
Bears.